Hello, and welcome back to Narrative Timbre. My name is Chris Morgan with The Lost Signals. I am here with Tyler Kitchens. He has recently scored his first feature-length film, By Night's End. It's a film directed by Walker Whitehead. Steve-O did an interview with him last week, and we're just going to talk to Tyler about what you do. So, Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, so getting to this film, I'll talk about the current, and then we'll go back. Talking about this film, how'd you get involved with Walker? And I know this is your first feature film, so like I said, we'll just backtrack on that. But how'd you get involved with Walker?
Well, Walker. So I was originally at first, I had my own solo project. I was just kind of writing instrumental music and just doing my own thing. And I decided at some point, I was like, I would like to have a music video. So I found Walker, and I knew that he shoot music videos. I know there were some like local Atlanta bands that he shot a couple music videos for. So I contacted him and I said, hey, my name's Tyler. I'm looking to get I have this instrumental solo project that I'm doing under my name, and I would like to get a music video done from you. I like what I see, all that stuff. And then so we started talking, we started kind of going over details and stuff, and he was talking about he had a short film coming up. It was called Co-Abided, and he asked me if I wanted to score the film. Actually, sorry, we we worked up a deal basically, and he would give me a discount on a music video if I scored his film. And so we ended up doing that. I think maybe it was like a few weeks later, something like that, maybe a month later, he sends me over the film, I score it. And ever since then, I've just been doing a lot of stuff with him, and we've just built this connection and relationship between a director and a composer. It's been great. And then I've done a couple other films for him as well. I believe the next one I did was this short film called The American Dream. And then I'm trying to think of what else that was shortly after that. Sorry, it's a long list of things. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of bring it all the way up to By Night's End. By the time we got to By Night's End, I was actually freshly moved to Canada, which is now where I'm currently living. He sent me a message and said, hey, I'm working on this like mystery kind of film. I was like, okay, yeah, tell me about it. He says, it's about this couple that's looking for something inside their house, and yeah, basically that's what it is. A couple's looking inside their house for something that's supposed to be like worth a lot. It's kind of like a treasure. It's kind of like a treasure thing. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I was like, cool, I'm on board already. So a little bit later, yeah, he had the script all written out. He sent it over to me and fell in love with it. I was like, man, this is great. I can't wait to get started on this film. And then I think it was shortly after that they started filming it. And again, yeah, that movie is they started filming. It's all in one location. It's all at Walker's house. And sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts.
No. Let me ask you this: when you
Yeah.
you took the script and started shooting, did you start composing to the script? Was he sending you dailies? or did he send you a screener, or all the above?
So so of course, first sent me the script, but when I started composing, he sent me like little clips of the film here and there. But I believe the first scene I got, which I started getting the feel for the music and where I was going to go with it, was the oneer in the film. So where Heather's running around the house, peeking in the windows and stuff, and trying to avoid the bad guys. Um, that's that was the first scene I started writing the music to, and I sent it over to him and kind of get his feedback um, and so that original cue for that scene is, I'm gonna say, it's pretty different than what I originally wrote for it. There's a lot of things that I ended up just taking out, a lot of things that just I thought was going to be used for the film and ended up not being used for the film. Uh, Sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts as all this. Um, and so he sent me some of that, and then um, he would just send me like, again, like little clips here and there, like the arrow scene.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
he sent me that
We'll
scene.
be very vague. Steve-O spit
Yeah,
out a
yeah,
spoiler, and he had a himself. So,
yeah,
but then again, we could take, as I said before, we could take care of anything in post. So that's the beauty.
yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to gather some of my thoughts for this thing. I'm mixing up. My mind's going way ahead of what I'm trying to say.
Um, okay, go on. I was going to say, I've got some. All right. So the first thing, let's just say the arrow scene was you said that was the first cue you did, or
No, the wonder scene. So
oh
where
right.
Heather's running around the house. Yeah, that was the first cue that I started writing for. And then after that, it was we he sent me the beginning of the film, the
Hmm.
title, the whole scene of Parker getting into the house and people looking for him outside and him being chased. And that was the second scene I wrote. And then after that, after I was kind of got the idea of where I was going to go with the oneer and the opening scene, shortly after that, he sent me the full film, and the rest was history. Yeah, the rest was history. That's good.
All right. Because I know we had a pre-interview,
Mm-hmm.
which is and rewatching the film, and speaking of the opening scene, um, first of all, we're going to talk about your rig later, because we'll talk about how you compose at home, what your studio is
Yeah.
like.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to ask, at the beginning,
Yeah.
you got the drones. I heard a little bit of a dulcimer.
Yes.
It, and then it sounded like you have an ebo for your guitar. And if anybody doesn't know what an ebo is, it's this little electronic thing, and you're basically playing the strings with a laser. The laser hits the string, hits the magnet, and the string reverberates over the magnet. So technically, it does sound like you're playing your guitar, whatever, with a bowed. It's great. I've got one. It'd be really great if somebody would just design a guitar with the fret markings without the frets, because then you'd get the whole thing. Um, did you use an ebo on that?
It was a virtual Evo, but yes, I did. Yes. And What was the first instrument you said? Dulcimer.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, dulcimer. Yes, I did. I did use a dulcimer as well. So the beginning of the film, actually, I was kind of going again. That was the second scene I actually saw. Right. So I was. I used the dulcimer because I kind of had that. You can take from like treasure hunting films or anything like that. I thought, okay, I'm gonna have this like adventurous kind of feel to it, um, and I was and You hear it throughout the film as well, but I the film, I would say definitely, I would say the music starts off a little more uh, uh, waxed, and then throughout the film, I gradually made the film. I try to make the music darker. So by the end of it, I was I did the film in order basically. Besides the first two scenes I scored the whole film in order. So I was just kind of going with how my emotions were, how Heather and the characters Heather and Mark were probably feeling, of just the intensity of just it was on the lighter side at the beginning. I mean, a lot of shit happened at the beginning of the film, of course, but it just it just, of course, the whole night just grew to be more intense. So that's what I try to do with the music as well. I just try to make it more intense by the end of the film. So
I mean, look, like I was telling you before, that my second watching the film was actually me lying on my couch with my eyes closed, so I could just like, hear the music, hear the sound effects, because aesthetically, the lighting, the sound. I mean, it's a great looking film. It's a great sounding film.
yeah, thank you.
Um, but I actually, that was a question I was going to have, because I did hear the progression of the film. It sounded like you got a motive going that really, I think at the end, without giving any spoilers, the before you launch in the end credits, you continue with, it's there's a drone to it. It sounds like you've kind of doubled your virtual ebo, because there's that real disconnect, there's really dissonant, discordant. And then once you get the fade to black, it lightens up. And I noticed that it sounds like you've got like two or three different kinds of piano going out through the film, and it sounds like you play off them, a lot in the ending credits.
Mhm.
um it actually, all right, and I was just curious, is my I'm starting this over again. My reviewing the film and seeing the buildup, I'm seeing that, like, you're establishing some instruments, you're holding back on some, and then you're bringing everything back in proportion towards the ending. So it kind of crescendos, and then it comes back, and it's got this really beautiful melody.
Thank you.
And it's a really sweet melody, and in between you have, it gets a little ethereal. um and so, I mean, I guess I kind of want to ask you, I'm going to ask you kind of about, like, the pianos, what you were using for them, and then we should probably go and tell everybody what your gear is and some of the stuff that you're using, because synthesizers have changed since my day. So
S- Um, so with I'm sorry, can you repeat the first
okay,
question that you asked me? I started thinking about the last part.
okay, so, actually, why don't we do that when we start with the last part, when we go into your gear, and then I was going to ask you about, your choice of pianos throughout the film,
Okay,
and then how you
first piano.
combine them at the end.
Yeah. So for the gear, I did everything on an Asus laptop. That's just my, uh, I have a desktop computer, but originally when I first moved here, my desktop computer stayed back in the States, and I purchased a laptop shortly before I moved. So I ended up using the Asus laptop for other shorts I've done after the film as well, and it's been amazing. It just works well for me. Um, uh, for the keyboard, I used a Yamaha uh, medium weighted keyboard. I like the medium weights. I don't like them too light, but I also don't like them too heavy. So I can. It's like playing a synth, but also like playing a piano at the same time. I'm just able to work with that better. Um, I have two Rockets. I don't remember which version exactly that they are. I'm not currently at my desk. So, um, and then I have a just like a mini keyboard, and I used that. That's what I used all on the uh, the film. And then I have a bunch of different virtual instruments. Nothing was recorded live. Um, I don't have any. Yeah, everything I record, it typically for right now for this film at least it was virtual. Um, so virtual strings. I use Spitfire Audio. That's usually my go-to.
Right.
Um, yeah,
It, it,
Spitfire and do what?
no, no, no. I was gonna say the Spitfire stuff is Spitfire Audio. For those who don't know, they actually sample. They're orchestral samples. People actually go in and sample actual acoustic instruments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're one of their. They usually record over at Air Studios in London, which
Yeah.
is a fantastic spot.
So you use the Spitfire Audio, and for your virtual synths, did you? I'm sorry, I have to. I'm just going to break the fourth wall for a
No, it's
second.
okay.
My dog's barking outside, and I'm not sure if you're hearing him.
So
So,
yeah, it's okay.
um, with your virtual instruments, because what we're having now is like back in my day, back in 1990 when I first started doing the MIDI
Mm-hmm.
electronic music stuff, they
Yep.
had the rack mount versions of everything. Now synthesizers come in as plugins, and
Mm-hmm.
if anybody refers to soft synths, it's a software synthesizer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so aside from Spitfire Audio, is there any other suite you're using?
Reactors. Oh, for Sweet.
Like
No.
for like synths and
For the sense I've been using, I believe most of my tones came from Reactor 6. That's
uh-huh.
what I typically use for everything. And I'll just take certain plugins and then I'll just turn it into my own thing. Um, and then for the brass and percussion, I used it's called Composer Cloud. And that's where I grabbed all my, again, like I said, all my brass and percussion. So I used basically three different programs for all the instruments for this film.
When you played the drums, because I have to say the drums are great.
Mm-hmm.
The drums are
Thank
great,
you.
and
Appreciate it.
that is one of the notes I took on it. I noticed the keyboard you had. It's an Akai 25 key, I
Yes.
believe,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
there's a bunch of trigger pads, and I you're gonna have to look at what that is because the computer is sitting where I could show you where my trigger pads are for anybody who's watching the video. I mean, if you're listening to it, then this is gonna be a little homework if you care. But when you played the percussion, were you using the trigger pads or were you using the keys, or how did you set that up?
Yeah, I was actually using the keys. I
Uh-huh.
haven't, I like the trigger pads. Don't get me wrong, but I just, I don't know. I've, I'm just more comfortable using the keys. That's just, it's just my thing with it. I don't know. No, nothing against trigger pads. It's just what I'm just comfortable with. It's what I've been using before I had one of those. Because again,
Uh-huh.
I used to do everything just on like a Yamaha keyboard, just like a regular keyboard. So I was always just used to the keys. So I just kind of transfer that over to the mini.
Well, I mean, because I do the same thing. I mostly use because I got a fully weighted keyboard and I got a synth keyboard, and I like to use the
Mhm.
percussion on the synth keyboard. And every now and again, I'll try to trigger something on the octapad, which is again, it's gonna be something you're gonna have to look up. If you're watching the video, you just saw my thumb point behind me. But it's to how do I say this? It's a compliment in that to the sound of the sample, but also playing drums on keyboards isn't always it's an act that you have to get used to.
Mhm.
So like I said, compliments on that because that's one thing I noticed on the second viewing of the film was just like the drums were awesome. Were the and you said the drums are from what program?
Composer Cloud. Yep.
Composer Cloud.
But yeah, Composer Cloud. But I recently just purchased some uh, new percussion from Spotify. A lot of my library is starting to switch over to not Spotify. Did I say Spotify?
You
Spitfire. I don't know.
Spitfire.
I mean, this is Spotify. Spitfire. Yeah, a lot of my let's say my library is definitely I'm transitioning more over to Spitfire audio. I
Is
love
that
Spitfire audio.
is that where your pianos come from? I mean, the acoustic
Uh,
piano and the electric piano goes from.
Yeah, so I believe that I used two different pianos for the film. I used the uh, the standard. They Spitfire has a program called Labs, and it's a bunch of free product and all that. So I used their free felt piano for that film, as well as a couple a contact piano. I don't remember which piano I used exactly, but it was two totally different pianos, just for two different effects. And yeah, so I would combine them and have them play at the same time for just a certain sound that I liked. So
Do you have a
those.
pedal? Do you have a pedal hooked up to your and this is gonna sound because
Mhm.
it's interesting that you mentioned the felt piano, and I'll get to why in a
Mhm.
second. But do you actually have a pedal you use, like a floor pedal,
Yeah,
um, a sustain pedal? That's the word I'm looking
it's the
for.
same video. Yeah, I have it hooked up to the Mini.
Okay,
Mhm.
because the one thing I noticed, because I've got the Atoria pianos, is like when you have the felt, um, when you hit the sustain before you hit it, it's actually they actually sampled um the um the dampener dropping.
Okay.
And so when you say, when it sound when you talk about like the piano you use, that's the first thing I think about, because it's just like it's amazing, this technology.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it really is. It's incredible. I'm so thankful for it.
it,
I mean, wouldn't be able to do half of the things I've been doing without it, so I'm really thankful for it.
is there any instruments that you, when you think of something, when you're writing,
Mhm.
is there any instruments you like to first gravitate to, like cello, oboe, piano, um
Piano.
piano?
That's usually, even if I don't use a piano in the song, it's usually my it's how I structure my music, I would say. It's always my go-to. Anytime if I'm working on a new project, typically, yeah, about 90% of the time I'll first go to my piano and then kind of get the idea where what I'm gonna do for each scene, and then I'll either keep the piano and clean it up a bit, or just totally drop it and not use any piano. But piano is that's how I write everything. It's the easiest for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about the other day, it's, nowadays your orchestra's right in front of you, your orchestra's in the computer.
Hmm.
um so sometimes it's so I mean, sometimes I mean, it's cool. What I'm saying is that's the way it's always typically been. You start with the piano, and nowadays we have all the stuff. So, at least for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, let me start off here. So no, I'm just I just like the fact that you start with the piano. It's not a judgment one way or another. It's just something I appreciate.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
um, so we already talked about the approach to the music. You you say that, all right. Well, first of all, the string tremolo. I noticed one kicks in about 28 seconds into the movie. Was that something? Did you trigger that with the mod wheel, or was that actually a Spitfire?
It's probably Spitfire thing. Yep.
Okay, just have to ask. I mean,
Yeah.
this is what the show is for, to sit here and
Yeah,
talk
yeah, yeah.
about the nuts and the bolts of the stuff that we do. So before
Mm-hmm.
everybody's eyes completely glaze over,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm gonna go back because I want to talk about, how you got started, and then I want to
Mhm.
continue on to the films you did before, because I know you did do some short films,
Mhm.
and I do want to talk about you doing a comedy. But let's go
Yeah.
back to the beginning. And how did you get your start in music?
Okay, all the way back to the beginning. Okay, so yeah, the
Go back as
start.
far
Yeah,
as you want.
yeah. No, no, no. It's okay. It's okay. So uh, okay. So so let's start with the very beginning. Okay, so my parents always during Christmas time. I used to love the. I'm trying to remember the Carol of the Bells, right?
Yeah,
Correct. I
Carol the
think that's
Bells.
the name of it by Trans Siberian Orchestra. I mean, that was the first song I've always like before then. Go back a little. I loved rock. I grew up on like listening to like Blink 182, some 41, little bit of Metallica, and all that. And then when I heard that song, I was like, wow, like, yeah, you can combine an orchestra with, um, you can combine an orchestra with, uh, like rock, like that doesn't like that's crazy. That's really cool. So I love that song. My parents would play it for me all the time. I was get so stoked over it. And then so my parents bought me tickets to go see them live in Atlanta at the Fox Theater, and I went to go see them live, and I saw this. I saw one of the guitar players. I don't know his name. He had a flying V on. He was using a flying V, and flying V guitar. And I lost my mind when I saw that. I said, "That is like the coolest looking instrument in the world. I want that." So after the show, I tell my dad, I'm like, "That's what I want. I want that. I want that for Christmas if I can get that for Christmas, please." And they're like, all right, we'll look at it. We'll look at it. And my dad would be like, "You sure you want a flying V? Like, you don't want something else?" Like, "No, that's what I want." He was like, "Okay." So, so he ended up, my mom and my dad ended up giving me a flying V guitar for like I'm maybe like my 7th or 8th birthday. I don't remember when exactly it was. Um, and I played it for maybe a couple months and was like, I don't know how I feel about this. So I didn't, I didn't really play too much of it. I was just like, I think I just like listening to music. I don't think I really like playing music. Um, and then dad, he also, my dad is a jingle writer. And so he had a bunch of, uh, a few different guitars, and he had a bass in his office. So I'd go in there and sometimes I'd kind of play his bass, and, uh, and the bass just connected with me in a different way than a guitar did. I tried, I picked up guitar a little bit, here and there before starting to play the bass. And it was, I enjoyed guitar, but when I tried playing bass, it just, again, it connected with me in a whole new, different level. And so I told my dad, I was like, I think like bass is something I really want to try. And he was like, "Okay, are you sure? Like, you picked guitar and you really weren't a big fan of it. Like, how do you know?" And I told him, I says, my friends had a bass. I would go to their house and play bass. My cousin started playing bass. I would go to his house and play bass. And I was like, it's a different, I'm connecting with it. And I feel like it's just, I don't know. So my parents and him, actually, let me take that back a little bit. My buddy in middle school, he was starting a band, and him and a drummer, they were like, "Yeah, we're starting a band, blah blah blah." And I was like, I'll be in your band. I'll be in your band." I had no idea. Like, I wasn't gonna play guitar. There was already a guitar player, and I mean, I didn't have anything else. So um, uh, they were like, "Well, can you sing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can sing." Didn't know how to sing at all. Like, I've never really sang before. So they're like, "All right, come." They were like, "All right, come to our practice." And it was the drummer's garage, of course. And I went over there. I was there for a couple hours. Did not sing. just could not sing in front of them. They were wanting me to cover some Aerosmith song. I don't remember what song it was. They told me to rehearse it before and then come in. Didn't end up doing that. I went there, just kind of stood there by the mic. I just couldn't. So I told them, I said, hey, but I can play bass for you guys. And they were like, do you have a bass? And I was like, no, but I think I'm getting one for Christmas. And they were like, okay, sure, whatever. You know, you're middle school, you have all the time in the world. No one really cares, whatever, right? So so Christmas morning, that band calls me up and they're like, did you get your bass? And I'm like, yes, I got my bass. They're like, awesome. All right, we're gonna have practice next week. So we did. So I went over to his house and then we started learning, you know, all the covers that anybody my age would. So all Green Day, Sum 41, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and all that. And then trying to think of what happened after that. So ended up playing with that band for a while. We actually, as we were playing, we wrote a couple original songs, but it was mainly just we would just jam in his garage and you know play songs, get cops called on us because we're too freaking loud. That's how it was. Some cops did not care. They would show up at the driveway and be like, just play me a song and we'll play them a song. And some cops would, they're come in and yell at us and tell us to turn down the music and we're bothering everybody. So we're like, all right, whatever. So I remember we posted we wrote a song called 2009. I wish I can find the video. I don't know where the video went. I think one of the band guys, they were doing their own thing and they took it off the internet. I have no idea where the video is, and it kind of bums me out because I would like to see it. Do what?
Find it. If you find the video, I can guarantee you this podcast group called the Lost Signals will we'll promote it.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. I was just
social media.
Yeah, I was just a 13-year-old with a little polo button up and curly blonde hair, playing bass, playing Green Day covers. Yeah.
So your dad didn't see like, hey, I've got a bass, you can borrow this until Christmas?
No, so he has one of his best friend. His name's Randy Brown. He's like a studio bassist in Nashville. So before then, I don't remember, it was before the time I told him like, hey, I really want to play bass, because when I was playing his bass, it was before I told him. I think he already gave it to him, so he was like, okay, well, I'll get you a bass or whatever. So yeah, that's where they got me my Ibanez. And so we posted the video. Our song was called 2009 because it was the year 2009. That was just what we could think of the name of the song. That was the only name that we could think of because we didn't know. So we post that video and we get a email from somebody, and this guy was like, hey, we'd be interested in working with you, please contact us. And we're like, okay, we have no idea who this guy is, but we're like, screw it, whatever. So we emailed him back, messaged him back on the YouTube message thing or whatever. And it was actually the father of this rapper. I would say the only best thing I can say is like a Disney Channel rapper kid. Like he was just trying to, he was younger than us. I think he was a couple years younger than us. So he was like 11, and it was him and his two little twin brothers, and they would just like rap. They would just do like these songs about like bullying and all this stuff, like childhood issues,
right,
events and stuff. So we ended up as a band became his band, and shortly after that, we'd go to Atlanta and do some practices at like this studio warehouse space or whatever that they had rented out. And then they told us, they said, hey, we're opening for the Harlem Globetrotters. And we're like, what the hell? That's pretty cool. So so we ended up playing at the Phillips Arena This may have been like 2010, so it was probably like a year after, or
Wow.
whatever. Yeah, and
So you're in
we
high school and you're opening
oh,
up.
I'm still in middle school. I'm in eighth grade, I
Okay, so
believe.
okay. So,
Yeah,
all right, so you're
yeah, I
in middle
think
school
like
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're
Still, yeah,
just
I'm
if
like middle
anybody,
school.
in case you felt like nothing, you've done nothing with your life. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so we gotta open up. I might actually have some videos of that. I believe I have some videos of me playing for the opening up for the Harlem Globetrotters. Yeah, and that was like
I will
like when that
attach them to
happened.
this interview. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a I felt like that was like that time I felt like a rock star. It's just it's uh I'm I'm walking up onto the courts and stuff, and you're having the people in the headsets like yelling at you, telling you like, "Oh, you need to go over there. You need to go over there." And I was like, "This is what it's like to be a rock star," and I'm doing that right now. I'm opening up for the Harlem Globetrotters and stuff. It was great experience. It was fun. It was. And then later on in life, that band, we ended up breaking up. We go in different directions. Me and the vocalist ended up going one way, while the rest of the band, they got a couple new members and went a different way. And so yeah, I was in another band for a couple years, and then I that died out. Joined other bands as well. Just my music, the style of music I wanted to play started to change. I wanted to do more. I got more into like metal, so I joined like this metal rock band, and we spent a couple years basically recording in studios and trying to make electronic press kits to try to pass out to like record labels and try to get a record deal and stuff. And then I decided I was like, like I think I want to try start writing my own music. I've never really written my own music. I've always been the bassist in a band and stuff. And I was fine with that at first. When I was
Okay.
first joining bands, I was like, I'm fine with just being a bassist. Like I'm not really interested in writing songs or anything like that. I just want to have fun playing on stage. Just, yeah, just being a bass player. So,
It,
um,
it's
do
so
what?
funny. Before it's so funny because myself included, but a lot of people, because I was always a rhythm guitarist and I was in
Hmm.
a band, they wanted me to do both. I'm like, I'm not a lead guitarist,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
at the time I sweat a lot and glasses are sliding off. And so when I actually was asked to play bass and I picked up a bass and learned it, it's like it's so freeing because you're there between
oh
the
yeah,
drummer and the guitarist and you're wandering around. And it's, as my one buddy said, and he uh was the bass player for our band, he goes, it's like, you're a bass player and it's like you're soloing all the time. So it's just like
yeah,
you're being a rhythm
exactly.
guitarist, you're being a lead guitarist. So I just want to say it's just like hearing your story now, even though your tenure with the guitar wasn't long. It's just like your story. Bass is a really underrated instrument.
It
Nobody,
really
rarely
is.
anybody,
Yeah.
everybody wants to be a singer. Everybody wants to be a guitarist.
Hmm.
Everybody wants to shred. And then, most guitarists I know who switch over to bass are like, wow, this is just like religious experience.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, and that's what it was. It was you're not the front man of a band really in any way. You're oops, sorry. No.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
sorry. Sorry, I think my phone's starting to die. I'm gonna have to put you on the charger in a second. Um yeah, so it was like what you said, it's freeing, it's different. You're not the front man of the band, but you're not in the bottom or anything. It's just like you're your own thing, you it's I loved it. And I think and that's what it was. That's why I picked it up as well. It was different. It was different. It was something that I didn't really hear about growing up. Like I knew what a bass player was, but when I was playing guitar, like every kid, like it's not really, you don't really find kids that are just like, oh yeah, I want to play bass before guitar or anything like that. Really, everybody that wants to, you know, be in a band and stuff, they always pick up guitar or drums or something,
Right.
but it's never bass. It's never bass. Nobody really wants to do that. But yeah, but I found guitar. I was okay. I played it for a little bit, and then I was just, it was just, and I found bass, and it's just what I've been doing. Again, I haven't been playing bass as much now because I've been trying to, write music for film, and that's where I'm at now with things. But but yeah, I'm trying to remember where I was trying to go with this.
Well,
What was the?
you started that you were, and I understand this completely because, um, I always wanted to do what you're doing, what we're doing, and then I happened to in bands because you're playing an instrument, why not?
Mhm,
So you were talking about like how you decided you want to start writing your own music, and when you
mhm,
start, so this is gonna be a twofold thing. So I want you to continue on like how you started your writing your own music, but at what time did
mhm.
you bring? At what point did you bring the piano in or the keyboard in, or um,
Yeah, so with that, so yeah, I was in the bands and stuff, and I was playing bass. And I was like, I want to really try to start writing my own music. So it's all sometimes kind of by accident, right? So I would go to, my dad would need to go to Guitar Center or something like that. I'd tag along with him. I would usually go to the the bass area, wait for him to go do all of this stuff, and I would just kind of sit there and play bass or whatever, just kick back for 30 minutes or whatever. And then I started kind of wandering over to like the keyboard area, piano area, whatever, and I would just kind of start playing around with that. And I was like, this is fun. This is kind of cool. So I would sit there instead of going over to the bass area. I was just kind of like, oh, this is kind of fun, just playing this and like making little things. And then that's kind of where it like also triggered. I'm like, I kind of want to try writing my own music, but like I don't know how. Like I don't want to just like write music on bass. Like I want something that was a little I guess yeah, like I was like, sorry, I was just trying to write. I was just trying to try a different style things because again, I've always been in metal bands, rock bands, whatever, playing bass. I was like, okay, well, let's try this piano thing out. So I ended up getting a piano, no music, like no stand for it or anything. I'll just plug it in the wall, sit it on the ground, and I would just sit there like cross legs and just play piano, just like making random stuff up, trying to memorize like certain things I'm writing. And I would have my friend come over. Um, and I would show him little things I was writing, and then I was like, I need to record this. So ended up getting my DAW Cubase, which I've been using ever since, and I started recording my. I just started recording and writing music, and I started, and that's when I started finding bands like artists like Yunzi and Sigur Ross and a bunch of like other like some Icelandic bands, some Icelandic musicians and instrumental artists like Hammock and Explosions in the Sky and all those kind of bands. Like some, uh, uh, yeah. So I started listening to them, and I was like, I kind of want to like write stuff like that. Like that's kind of what I'm into. It has like a cinematic feel to it, but it's very like pretty, and it just connected with me on an emotional level. And yeah, so I ended up getting Cubase and started writing my own song, which I can try to find my very first song that I ever wrote by myself too. I think it's on my desktop, so I have to plug that in and get it sent over to to uh, in my email or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to dig through that computer. But
well, I just want to say that we're going to provide links to all your stuff. So even if you
okay,
put it up on your website, we'll have a link to it.
sounds good.
Because this way, in the description, we could always update it. So anything that we're talking about with, I'm going to give you a real quick plug right now. Tyler Kitchens Music .com. As I said, I'm going to put the link below. I'm also going to put the link below for By Night's End. So, because we want you to see the movie as well. Um, and for anybody who doesn't know, I'm always going to have to explain this, but what Tyler just said, Cubase is a DAW. It's a digital audio workspace. I think that's it. So basically, you
Yeah.
can record on it, you can orchestrate. It's just as with everything that we're using, it's yet another program, but it allows you to just manipulate the music. So it is all in one. It's you can record on it. It's an orchestrator for you. It's a mixer. It's a if, we already talked about mastering the other day. Like, yeah, let somebody else do that. But
Yeah, exactly.
all right. But with the Icelandic music with Sigaros, they're very ethereal, very minimalistic in a lot of ways, but they definitely
Hmm.
do have this haunting melodies. Do you ever listen to a group from, I think they're from Australia, called Dead Can Dance?
Never, not familiar with that band.
They have a live album called Toward the Within. You should check
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Quite
Yeah.
good. The first song, Rakim, is just amazing.
Hmm.
So I'm recommending that to you. Please go on with so you said you got Cubase, your influence had changed up. You kind of had a style with which you're going, and you kind of had a direction with which
Hmm.
how you wanted to.
Yeah.
I have a tenuous grasp on the English language. Anybody
That
who's
was okay. Yeah,
watched
I've
the
been
Lost
I've been
Signals.
trying to get words out this whole podcast to you. I'm trying to. Not very good at English either.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like part of the show is to have fellow geek musicians like us, but also we want to not isolate anybody who's not a musician, not in the or a composer is not in this world, but we want them to be, so if I stop, it's just so anybody who's not as familiar with what the tools you work with, what we work with. That's why I keep stopping for these little trivia
No,
breaks.
no. Yeah, totally understandable.
So you started writing, so you said you're going to be looking for your first song. We'll find a way to put it up or integrate it into the
Mhm.
um but okay, so all right, so that's where we left off. You just started your first piece of music, and how did you start getting into doing shorts and all that stuff?
So, yeah, okay. So I was interested in working. Like, uh, I would listen to some like soundtracks of films and stuff, and I was like thinking, like, and watching films. I'm like, I'd really like to take this music and put it towards film. I was uh, trying to think of the way to say it. Yeah, I was like, I really want to try that, but I'm doing my instrumental project, whatever. I'm gonna focus on that as well. And then, yeah, that's when I found Walker, and I wanted to do a music video for my solo stuff. And yeah, and then that's where he told me about that he was doing his film. So we cut the deal. It's like, okay, give me a discount on the music video if you score my film. And I like to say I never ended up going with the music video, because after that I was just like, this is really what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Like, this is I just instantly fell in love with it, and I felt like I was able to um, I was able to write music before then, but actually watching the picture and writing music, I was like, this brings out a whole new thing in me that I didn't know I could do. Like, this brings out uh, I felt like I was becoming a better writer with writing to picture. It was just like, I'm actually seeing something, instead of just feelings and thoughts I'm having. It's like, this isn't necessarily to do with me anymore. It's about what's going on with these people, what's going on with these scenes. And that was just a whole new door that opened for me. And I just really, I don't know, I just fell in love with it. And then, so I scored his first film, Codes Abided. And I believe after that, I did a little like commercial thing for this granite company. I think that was like maybe the second thing I did. And then, yeah, and then I started doing more short films for him, like American Dream, and then, uh, and then And then yeah, so I did a couple of those like more like drama shorts, and then I started getting into comedy. I started I had this director from Atlanta. His name is Jonathan Mitchell, and he contacted me and he's like, hey, I'm doing this. I made like an ad on like the Atlanta film community Facebook page, and say, hey, I'm a film composer, and you know, all the regular stuff. Hey, I'd love to do your film and all that stuff. They just reach me, just send me a direct message or whatever. So he emailed me. He was like, hey, I'm doing this comedy called the Vampire CEO. And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, sure. And he was like, do you think you can write like comedy, like horror music? I was like, like before I could say, like, I understood saying yes to everything. I was like, I don't know, I think I can. And I was like, now I shouldn't have said that, but I still got the job and I still did it. And that kind of took me in a comedy, doing comedies for a little bit. I did his film Vampire CEO. I did another short film called Eat Your Heart Out, which was like another horror comedy. And then I ended up doing like a 7 episode web series called We're Pretty Terrible for him. So I did that for maybe like a year or so, about a year. Just kind of went in this whole comedy route, and then I started meeting new directors as well, and doing some more of their shorts, and yeah, and it all just short by short. I can't list them all off, but started
No,
doing
that's
yeah.
because on your website it gives you a breakdown of the stuff you've done.
Yeah, I have the Internet Movie Database posted on
Yeah,
there.
and you have the Internet Movie Database. So let me ask a question, like, because we had talked about how like you always thought about scoring dramas. Now,
Mhm.
comedies is one of those things where I'm going to say out of all the genres of whatever, comedy is the one I personally, and I'm ashamed to admit, is the music rarely strikes me.
Mhm.
um so if it does, it's the composer's got something. What's your approach to writing for a
Uh,
comedy? Because
so comedy is like one of the ones where you have to really, in my opinion, like the music really has to follow the dialogue, and it has to add. You have to you have to make sure the music just has to go hand in hand with the dialogue, in my opinion, again, right? Because like, for certain thrillers or horror movies, you can just kind of, you know you can have some strings just kind of trimming in the back or anything like that, and just like, or action movies where mainly people are watching just the action that's going on, the music can just kind of sit behind them. But with comedy, like, the music also has to be funny. Like, you have to, like, the music out of place for a comedy can throw everything off, right? But then you also have to use the comedy you have to use the music as the form of comedy as well. For example, like if somebody says something, you know funny or whatever, or like, you can't just sorry.
no,
Just
no,
trying
no,
to,
because I was going
yeah.
to say comedy. I mean, I know a lot of directors and say that it's easier. They usually go for comedian actors, because it's easier to go from comedy to drama than vice versa. Because with
Yes.
comedy, in a lot of ways, it's a lot of setup, it's a lot of beats, it's like there is a rhythm to the material itself, more so than you would find in a comedy, or sorry, a comedy, a drama, or an action film, a horror, sci-fi,
Yeah,
where you've got a
exactly.
little more leeway. You've actually got to follow the beat, so you actually have to get into the rhythm of what's being said, of the edits, um, which is why I would never conceive of doing comedy. So, I mean, genuinely, I'm asking you, how do you like have to, I'm assuming you have to like align, figure out what the rhythm is of the thing, and then kind of tailor your music to kind of go along with
Yeah,
that?
that was the one where I actually had to put flags down on my DAW and be like, okay, well, this is where somebody's gonna say something. This is where this thing's gonna happen. Blah blah blah. Like those were. Now I don't really do that as much. I don't really put like markers down or anything. I just kind of let the music just kind of flow. Make sure it still adds up and stops and goes when it needs to. But comedy was the one that was definitely like you can't miss it. Like comedy, it can't just like for the ones I've done, for example, to say like it's not always just underscore. Like it has to. It's part of the dialogue. It has to be there with it
Right.
and follow everything that they're saying, and you have to really pay attention. And it's not just two people having a conversation and music in the background. It has to just go hand in hand with everything that's going on. And that's why I find it more difficult, because if the music's not funny, it's not going to work.
Right.
It has to connect with what's going on. So
It's a trick, and hey, listen, I give you a lot of credit for the doing that, because it is definitely um, within this. That's even a specialized art. Like I said, I've never written for comedy, and as I said before, just to when you notice music in a comedy, that's actually, it's not like just wallpaper. It's not like the usual, you
yeah, yeah,
slide whistle and so forth. Um,
yeah.
but just as I was gonna say, all right, now I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot a little bit.
Oh
Uh,
no.
yeah. I just was curious. You did mention a lot of your influences, growing up, like, but like your favorite composers, like, who are you currently listening to right now?
So the main one, of course, the generic one, who a lot of composers listen to, Hans Zimmer, of course. I mean, he's the man. He's inspired me not just as with his music, but just his personality and the way
Yeah.
he talks about, composing, and the way he's just very like he's just so chill. He's just like, man, all you need is a laptop. You need a couple things, and you can be. What does he say? He said what he said about John Williams. He says, just give me a computer or something, and I can be the next John Williams. I don't remember the whole saying that he said, but I mean, it's true. It's completely true. Like the way he approaches it, he doesn't have. Uh, uh, he hasn't been to school or anything like that. He doesn't have a music. He doesn't have a education in that area. Like he he's and with that he's inspiring. I don't have a musical education. I don't know anything about theory. I can't tell you what the hell I'm doing. I have a buddy that understands theory very well, and we'll have long conversations about it, and he'll try to explain things to me, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea what you're saying. But I'm always interested in hearing what he has to say. I just don't understand what he's saying,
Well,
and he'll tell me things. Do what?
I was gonna say, as somebody who's got well, I've been associate's degree in music, and then I've got a minor degree in music, and as somebody who does know theory and orchestration, uh not very well. I've been
Mm-hmm.
dusting it off. The one thing my professors always said, is you don't write theory. You use it to communicate it to others, unless you've got an orchestrator, because that's what Hans Zimmer does, and like a lot of
Yep.
composers, Paul McCartney, even, like, he has somebody transcribing it for him. And You use it to communicate to others, but also you use it if you're looking for options, and your head's full of stuff, but otherwise it doesn't really fucking matter. Just
Yeah.
just play.
Exactly.
Now
Exactly.
let's continue with the Hans Zimmer love fest for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the things I always thought was really cool about him, because one of my favorite modern composers is Ramin Djawadi. He did
Yep.
Pacific Rim
Mm-hmm.
and Game of Thrones, and
Westworld and all that. Yeah.
Westworld, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually, I didn't know this, but when Zimmer was working on Batman Begins, Djawadi was either interning with them, or he
Yeah.
was some prodigy. And
Yep. He
the way
was.
Hans Zimmer approaches it is, even if you're just standing there in the room when you're mixing, when you're recording,
Mm-hmm.
he considers you as part of what goes into the music. He considers your energy, your presence there, contributing to it. And I always thought that was just like the coolest thing for anybody to say, because everybody is useful. He's taken into consideration like everybody with him is a human being. They're not just like an intern. They're not just, oops, as I knock over my microphone, um, which I think is really sharp. Okay, we had a bit of a technical. So we have a perspective change if you're watching the video. So yeah, and one more thing I just wanted to bring up is Time is one of my favorite pieces of his from Inception. And I am not at all a fan of Ravel's oh shit, Bolero. But Time
Hmm.
is really great. It's like it's a repeating thing, and it's a lot harder than you think it is because it doesn't always fall on the one.
Hmm.
But it's basically the same four chord progressions, and it builds much like Bolero does. It's a very minimalistic piece, but it's probably one of his greatest.
Oh yeah, I got to see it live actually too. I went to go see. Did you go see him live?
I did.
Yeah,
I
it
did.
was fantastic. Yeah, when was that? 2017, I
Something like
think.
that. 2000. Yeah, 2017.
Yeah. Oh man, it was so good.
Where'd you see him in Atlanta?
Yes, I'm in Atlanta.
Awesome. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
okay,
was
go
it
on.
was great.
Okay, so here now, it's a Hans Zimmer Love Fest. So who else are you listening to, by the way? Just
uh,
give us another
uh,
composer or two, just because I want to continue to put you on the spot.
yeah, another one that I've been recently getting more into is Marco Beltrami.
Uh-huh.
He's done all the Scream movies. He's done A Quiet Place, Ford versus Ferrari. He's he's another one of those composers that can almost do anything. You know, he's done a lot of horror films, but he can do dramas and action adventure movies like Ford versus Ferrari and stuff. He's fantastic as well. And I like him as a person too. I like to also like look into these all these composers as people as well, and not just their
True.
music, and just seeing how they, you know, how they work and what their life is like and stuff. And then let's say one of the other ones that I'm really listening to is Hildur. I cannot pronounce her last name. I've been trying to learn how to pronounce her last name, but she's the same. She's the composer for Chernobyl and as well as Joker and another film that she did that I absolutely loved is Sicario 2,
Mhm.
the second Sicario movie. Of course. Well, I said Sicario too, of course. I'm sure that that makes sense. I didn't have to say that twice. Yeah, and for Chernobyl, her and this sound recordist, Chris Watson, they um, they actually both went into an abandoned like nuclear power plant, recorded noises and stuff, and sampled it and all and used it towards her score for Chernobyl. And it's absolutely fantastic. She's super talented.
I haven't watched nor I will definitely check out Chernobyl because I do want to see it, and I'll check out her
Mm-hmm.
score for that, independently. But the score for Joker was tremendous.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. It was incredible. She's getting up there. Like she's only scored a few films, but she mainly just did. She's a cellist, so a lot of her she has albums that come out. She does like a lot of instrumental stuff, and she's worked with a bunch of other like Icelandic composers, like Jonsi, who I mentioned at first. They're real good friends in real life, and all that. But yeah, she's incredible, and I'm so excited to see her career just flourish.
Yeah, she's definitely somebody to check out. And I'm going to check
Hmm.
out more of her stuff on your recommendation.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah.
think you and I talk about approachable musicians. I think we both offered our appreciation to, and I do not remember his name. So let's just call him Junkie XL.
Junkie XL, yeah.
He's got a whole wonderful
Tom,
website.
yeah, I don't remember his last name. Tom.
I could be rude and look on my phone, but I'll,
Yeah.
as with the last composer, post production, I'm going to put the graphics up. So if you're watching the video, um, you're going to get that. If you're listening to this, then just look up Junkie XL and whoever the composer for Joker and Chernobyl. Um, Lastly, is there any films that like his have inspired you?
My so my favorite film of all time uh, is Saving Private Ryan.
Uh-huh.
So with I believe John Williams did the music for that one. It's just that film just connects with me, not just musically, just as a I don't know. It was one of the first war movies I saw, and that just really I don't know. It just connects with me. I just love that film. I love that film. I've seen it 100 times, and I'll watch it 100 times more. Absolutely love that film. A new war film that just recently came out that I love war films. I don't know why. I think it's just the boy in me. I just love war films. Um, but 1917, that was a fantastic movie. Thomas Newman, the composer for it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
we
love
did
that movie.
review that, and the score for that's phenomenal.
I know, I know. I listen to it all the time. I love that film. Um, there was another film that I'm absolutely loving. A film I just recently watched too, The Last Black Man of in San Francisco. That's a that's a great movie too. I
Oh,
just I can't tell you the name of the composer, Emil something I don't remember. I'm not too familiar with him, but that is a fantastic film. Something from another film that really connects with me. Um, Gravity. That's a great one
I
with
have not.
Sandra
I've
Bullock.
heard the
Uh,
soundtrack, but have not seen the
the
film.
soundtrack is amazing. Like it's one of those soundtracks that you can just you're thinking about the film, you're listening to the soundtrack, you just connect with it anywhere. Like it just it's very uneasy at certain parts. It's
Mhm.
just I don't know.
It's
I
who's the composer for that? Because I have it on the tip of my
I
tongue.
believe it's Stephen Price.
Stephen Price.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not the composer I was thinking of. That
Who are you thinking of?
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting confused with the director. Maybe Alfonso Cuarón directed it, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's Stephen Price who did
Right.
the music
Because I
for
was
it.
gonna say I knew that wasn't. I'm like maybe the name I'm seeing is the director, but who is
Yeah,
it?
the composer Stephen Price.
Stephen Price. All right.
Yeah,
Because I did check out some of the. I've never seen the movie, but I had heard good things about the soundtrack, and thanks to YouTube, I was able to catch some.
yeah, it's great. Of course, Howard Shore for all the Lord of the Rings
Oh
movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is fantastic, and the way he went about that, like he spent a long time on those tracks too. Like he wrote for a long time, reading all the Tolkien books. He said he would just sit there and try to dream of that world and try to just immerse himself into it, and was just able just to create this beautiful soundtrack for all films. It's amazing. He's great.
Yeah.
There's too many. Like I can go on and on about all these
Yeah,
different
I'm
composers.
sitting here thinking maybe we should maybe next year when we can wrangle one or two other people, we could have a round table where we can just express our love and appreciation for all these films and film composers.
Yeah.
Um, Before I let you go, because
Mhm.
I know you've got some stuff going on today. Just is there anything else you want to promote? Anything else that's coming out? I know that the soundtrack for By Night's End is coming out on Spotify.
Mhm.
Um, it's going to be out in what you said, 2 weeks.
Hopefully a couple of weeks. It should be out this month. I can give you more information on it when I know. Right now we're just getting the tracks all finished up and getting ready for them to be posted
And
up
anybody
online.
listening to this past October 2020, this is going to be released in the middle of the month of October 2020. So if you're listening to this right away, within the next month, if you're listening to this afterwards, go check out Tyler Kitchens on Spotify and the movies By Night's End. Is there like besides that, is there anything else you want to mention that's coming up that you're
No,
working on?
I might have a couple shorts coming up, but other than that, there's no features I'm working on right now. So I'm just kind of in this spot in between things. So just looking for more work. Yeah. I've been doing other shorts past. I've done plenty of other things after By Night's End. But yeah, right now at the moment, it's a little slower. And I'm going to say it's probably because of, you know, what the world's going through right now. Yeah. There's a lot going on right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how things go. But I mean, I am seeing a lot of, directors getting out there though and still doing stuff. So stuff's still happening, but a little
And
slow on my end.
we don't have the track laid up, but as soon as this interview ends, before the ending titles, I am going to play cue from your music. I'll
Mhm.
make sure to put it in the description. Um, so Tyler, please come back and talk to us again. If there's
Cool.
anything you're promoting, let us know. We'll share it on our social media. Once again, the movie is By Night's End. Tyler Kitchen's music. Is there? We're gonna have the links in the description. And is there anything else you want to say before I shut us down?
No, I hope everybody enjoys the film, and please do check it out. You can rent or purchase it on Vimeo, FlixFling, Amazon Prime, and a couple other streaming platforms as well, like DirecTV.
And I could say that we all saw the movie. We thought it's great, and congratulations to both you and Walker, and
Thank you.
congratulations on the soundtrack. Congratulations on the movie. It is definitely worth a watch. Please go check it out and check out Tyler's soundtrack on Spotify sometime before the end of
Sometime,
2000.
yeah, we're getting it together.
But again, if there's anything you ever want to promote, just pass it on, and we'll share it on our Tyler media, on our social media.
The Tyler Meteor sounds good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Tyler, thanks again. Congratulations and everything. This is Chris Morgan with the Lost Signals, and thank you once again for joining us for Narrative Timbre, and we'll see you soon.
Editing and engineering by Christopher Morgan. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.